The invitation came in September, cream-colored with gold lettering. The Chen family reunion Labor Day weekend. I held it in my hands at my kitchen table in Seattle, coffee going cold beside me, and felt the familiar pull of obligation war with exhaustion. I had been to every single reunion for 15 years. Every single one since I turned 18, and Mom said I was old enough to represent our branch properly. I was the one who organized the photo albums, who remembered everyone's dietary restrictions, who stayed up late with the aunties listening to their stories. I was the keeper of traditions, the bridge between generations. But this year, I had a choice to make. My boss had offered me the opportunity of a lifetime, a presentation at a medical technology conference in Geneva, the same weekend. I'd been working on our new diagnostic software for 3 years, pouring everything into it. This was my moment. I called Mom first. Switzerland? Her voice crackled with disappointment through the phone. But Lily, the reunion. Uncle James is coming all the way from Taiwan. And Grandma Chen, she's 93 now. Who knows how many more? The guilt settled over my shoulders like a familiar coat. I know, Mom, but this is important for my career. It's just one reunion. Sarah will be there, won't she? My younger sister, 26 to my 33, still living in our hometown, still working at the local library, still seemingly content with a life that had always felt too small for me. Sarah's not you, Mom said quietly. But she'd have to be, just this once. I went to Geneva. I gave my presentation. I shook hands with colleagues from 17 countries and felt, for the first time in years, like I was exactly where I belonged. Like I was more than just the responsible daughter, the dutiful niece, the one who always showed up. I posted a few photos, me at the conference in front of the UN building at a cafe overlooking the lake. Sarah liked them all, added heart emojis. So proud of you, she commented. When I landed back in Seattle 2 weeks later, my phone had been strangely quiet. Usually after a reunion, I'd get a flood of messages, thank you texts from aunties, cousin group chat recaps, Mom's detailed rundown of everything I missed. This time, silence. I called Mom that evening. Oh, Lily, how was your trip? Her voice was bright, but there was something underneath it I couldn't identify. It was amazing, Mom. I'm sorry I missed the reunion. How did it go? It was wonderful, sweetheart, really wonderful. Sarah did such a beautiful job with everything. My hand tightened on the phone. Sarah did what? Well, she stepped up, organized the activities, made sure Grandma Chen was comfortable, even put together a slideshow. Everyone was so impressed. Something cold unfurled in my chest. That's great. I'm glad it went well. Your sister really came into her own, Lily. You should have seen her. I should have been happy, relieved even. Instead, I felt inexplicably hollow. The next morning, I scrolled through Facebook. That's when I saw them. The photos. Sarah at the reunion, wearing the jade necklace Grandma Chen had given me when I graduated college. The necklace I'd left at Mom and Dad's house because I was always afraid of losing it during my travels. Sarah wearing my necklace, standing in the center of the family photo where I always stood, right next to Grandma Chen. There was Sarah pouring tea in the traditional ceremony, the ceremony I had led for a decade. Sarah laughing with Auntie Me and Auntie Lynn, who always saved their best gossip for me. Sarah standing at the karaoke machine, microphone in hand, leading everyone in The Moon Represents My Heart, my song, the one I sang every year with Grandma Chen. But it was the captions that made my breath catch. Sarah Chen holding down the fort. Where would we be without her? Our family organizer extraordinaire. Sarah made this reunion so special. She thought of everything. I clicked through album after album. Cousin Jennifer had posted 37 photos. Uncle Mike had shared a video of Sarah giving a toast. In it, she was telling a story, my story, about the time Grandma Chen had taught us to make dumplings, and I'd made one so ugly she'd laughed until she cried. Except in Sarah's version, it was her dumpling, her memory, her moment with Grandma. My phone slipped from my hands onto the couch. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, trying to understand the feeling that was wrapping around my ribcage and squeezing. It wasn't quite anger. It wasn't quite hurt. It was something worse, the nauseating realization that I was replaceable. That the role I'd thought was mine, uniquely mine, had been nothing more than a placeholder. A position anyone could fill if I stepped away. I called my cousin Jennifer. She'd always been my closest confidant in the family. "Lily, oh my God, I've been meaning to call you. How was Switzerland?" "It was good. Great, actually. I saw the reunion photos." "Weren't they amazing? Sarah really outdid herself. You must be so proud of her." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, I noticed she was wearing Grandma's necklace." "Oh, that. Yes, Grandma gave it to her during the reunion. It was so sweet. She said Sarah reminded her of herself when she was young, devoted to family, always putting others first." Jennifer's voice was warm with affection. "You know, the necklace really suited Sarah. She wore it the whole weekend." My necklace. The one Grandma had pressed into my hands 7 years ago with tears in her eyes, telling me I was the heart of our family. Grandma gave it to her, but I stopped myself. "What?" "Nothing, I'm glad it was a good reunion." "The best one yet, honestly. Sarah has this way of making everyone feel included, you know? Even the shy cousins were participating in everything. She got Uncle James to tell stories about Taiwan we'd never heard before. And the slideshow she made. Lily, there wasn't a dry eye in the room." I felt like I was falling, even though I was sitting still. "That's wonderful, Jen. We missed you, of course, but honestly, Sarah really stepped up. It made everyone realize we maybe relied on you too much before. It's good to know the family traditions can continue no matter what, you know." No matter what. No matter if I was there or not. No matter if I existed or not. "Yeah," I heard myself say. "That's really good to know." After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine I didn't drink and opened Instagram. More photos, more captions about Sarah, and then I found her account. She'd changed her profile description. It used to say, "Librarian, bookworm, little sister." Now it read, "Family keeper, tradition holder, grateful for roots." My words, my description. I'd written almost that exact phrase in my own bio 3 years ago. I didn't confront her right away. I told myself I was being irrational, oversensitive. Sarah was my sister. She'd helped out when I couldn't be there. That was good. That was what family did. But over the following weeks, small things began to accumulate like stones in my pockets. Mom started calling Sarah first with family news. I'd find out about Uncle Chen's surgery recovery or Cousin Bobby's engagement through group texts instead of personal calls. The aunties group chat, the one I'd been part of for years, where the older generation shared recipes and asked for advice, suddenly got quiet whenever I posted. My messages would sit there, unreacted to, while Sarah's would get floods of heart emojis and grateful responses. In October, Auntie Me asked Sarah to organize Grandma Chen's birthday celebration. In November, Sarah was invited to join the family mahjong night that had been elders only for my entire life. And every time I saw Sarah at family events, she was wearing the jade necklace. At Thanksgiving, I finally came home to visit. I walked into my parents' house with a pumpkin pie from the fancy bakery Sarah had once told me she loved, a peace offering for a war I wasn't sure we were fighting. Sarah opened the door. She was wearing a silk cheongsam, the traditional Chinese dress in deep burgundy, beautiful and formal. The jade necklace gleamed at her throat. "Lily," she hugged me, and she smelled like Mom's jasmine perfume. The perfume Mom had always saved for special occasions that she'd never let us borrow as teenagers. "You look amazing," I said because she did. "Thanks, Mom bought it for me after the reunion. She said now that I'm taking a more active role in family events, I should dress the part." Sarah smiled, guileless and bright. "Come in, everyone's here." The living room was full. Cousins, aunties, uncles, all the familiar faces that had once lit up when I walked in. Now they glanced up, smiled politely, and turned back to their conversations. "Lily's here," Sarah announced, but it felt performative, like she was the hostess welcoming a guest. Mom emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "Sweetheart, you made it." She hugged me, but it was brief. "Sarah, can you check on the turkey? You know how I like it basted." "Of course, Mom." Sarah glided toward the kitchen like she'd been doing this her whole life. I stood in the entryway with my expensive pie and felt like a stranger in my childhood home. Dinner was worse. Sarah sat in my old seat, the one next to Grandma Chen. I ended up between Cousin Tim, who spent the entire meal on his phone, and Uncle Mike, who was half-deaf and kept asking me to pass things that weren't near me. Grandma Chen, her mind still sharp despite her frail body, kept patting Sarah's hand and smiling at her with such tenderness it made my chest ache. "Sarah is so good to me," Grandma said in Mandarin, her voice carrying across the table. "She calls me every week, brings me groceries, sits with me and listens to my old stories." I had done that. For years, I had done exactly that, calling from Seattle every Sunday morning, my time, even when I was exhausted from work. I'd sent grocery deliveries, care packages, long voice messages in Mandarin sharing my week. "That's wonderful, Grandma," I said quietly. Her eyes found mine, and for a moment I thought I saw recognition there. Confusion, maybe. Then Sarah said something that made her laugh, and the moment passed. After dinner, I found Sarah in the kitchen, alone, washing dishes. "Hey," I said, picking up a towel. "I'll dry." "You don't have to. You're a guest." The word landed like a slap. "I'm not a guest, Sarah. This is my family, too." She turned to look at me, her hands still in the soapy water. "Of course it is. I didn't mean it like that." "Then how did you mean it?" "Lily, what's wrong? You've been weird all night." I set down the towel. My hands were shaking slightly. "I saw the reunion photos." "Oh, weren't they great? I meant to send them to you directly, but I figured you'd see them online." "You were wearing my necklace." Sarah's hand went to her throat, touching the jade. "Grandma gave it to me. I didn't ask for it, Lily. She put it around my neck and said she wanted me to have it. She gave it to me 7 years ago. It was mine." "Well, now it's mine." There was no malice in her voice, which somehow made it worse, just simple fact. "Things change." "You took my place." The words hung between us, finally spoken. Sarah turned off the water and dried her hands slowly, deliberately. When she looked at me, her expression was calm, almost pitying. "I didn't take anything, Lily. You left a space and I filled it. That's all." I went to one work event. One, after 15 years of never missing anything. And that was enough. She leaned against the counter. "Do you know what it was like growing up in your shadow? Perfect Lily, responsible Lily, Lily who does everything right. I was always just the little sister, the spare, the one nobody really needed because you were already doing it all." "That's not." The reunion was the first time anyone really saw me. The first time I wasn't just your backup. And you know what? I was good at it. Maybe even better than you because I wasn't doing it out of obligation. I wanted to be there. The words cut deeper than I expected. "So what? You're just going to be me now. Wear my jewelry, tell my stories, take my place with Grandma." "They're not your stories, Lily. They're family stories. And Grandma has room in her heart for both of us." Sarah's voice softened. "But you're never here. You call from Seattle when it's convenient for you. You send money and gift baskets and think that's the same as showing up. It's not. I have a life, a career. So do I just happen to be living mine here, with them, instead of treating family like a hobby I engage with when it fits my schedule." I felt tears burning behind my eyes. "You're enjoying this." "Maybe I am." She met my gaze steadily. "Is that so wrong, to enjoy finally being seen, to enjoy having a role that matters?" "It was my role." "No, Lily, it was whoever showed up's role, and you stopped showing up." I left the kitchen, grabbed my coat from the closet, mumbled something about an early flight to Mom, and drove back to my hotel through tears that made the street lights blur into watercolor streaks. That night, lying in a hotel bed 15 minutes from my childhood home, I scrolled through years of reunion photos on my phone. Watched myself slowly disappear. First from the center of photos, then from the front row, then just absent. In the most recent album, there was one photo of me, taken years ago in a group shot. Someone had tagged it, "Remember when Lily used to come to these?" Remember when? As if I was already just a memory. I flew back to Seattle the next morning without saying goodbye to anyone but my parents. Dad gave me a long hug and told me to call more. Mom pressed Tupperware containers of leftovers into my hands and said Sarah sent them, that she knew I wouldn't have time to cook this week. Even my care was being outsourced to my sister. December came with its usual avalanche of work deadlines and holiday obligations. I threw myself into my job with an almost manic intensity. If family was no longer my identity, at least I had this. My career, my accomplishments, the life I'd chosen. But the emptiness followed me everywhere. I'd be in meetings and suddenly remember the way Grandma Chen used to hold my hand during family prayers. I'd pass by a Chinese restaurant and think about the dumpling-making sessions, the flour on everyone's hands, the laughter. On Christmas Eve, alone in my apartment with takeout pad thai and a Netflix queue, my phone buzzed. The family group chat was exploding with photos from Sarah's Christmas Eve party at Mom and Dad's house. Sarah had organized it. Of course she had. There were pictures of her hanging ornaments on the tree with the little cousins, her leading everyone in carols, her standing next to Grandma Chen, both of them wearing matching red sweaters, the jade necklace catching the light from the Christmas tree. And then, a video. Someone had recorded Sarah giving a toast. I shouldn't have watched it, but I did. "I just want to say how grateful I am for this family," Sarah was saying, her voice warm and steady. "For years, I watched my sister Lily hold us all together. She taught me what it means to honor our traditions, to stay connected, to remember where we come from." She paused, and people murmured appreciatively. Lily had to step back this year to focus on her career, and I understand that. We all do. But it made me realize that family isn't just one person's responsibility. It's all of ours, so thank you for letting me step up. Thank you for welcoming me into this role. And Lily, she looked directly at the camera, and I saw tears in her eyes. Thank you for showing me how it's done. I hope I'm making you proud. The room erupted in applause. People were crying. Mom was beaming at Sarah with a look of pure pride I recognized because it used to be directed at me. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark. The Christmas lights from my neighbor's apartment bleeding through my windows in red and green streaks. She'd done it so perfectly. Made herself the hero and me the absent sister who'd graciously passed the torch. Made it seem like a natural transition, a beautiful evolution instead of what it was, a replacement. And the worst part, I couldn't even be angry because everything she'd said was technically true. I had stepped back. I had prioritized my career. I had missed the reunion. But I'd thought, naively, foolishly, that my place would still be there when I came back. That 15 years of dedication couldn't be erased by one absence. January arrived with the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. I went through the motions of my life, work, gym, occasional drinks with colleagues who weren't quite friends. I stopped checking the family group chat, stopped scrolling through social media, stopped calling home as often. If they'd replaced me, then maybe it was time to let them. But in February, everything changed. Dad called at 2 in the morning. I knew before I answered what kind of call comes at that hour. "It's Grandma," he said, his voice thick. "She had a stroke. We're at the hospital now." I was on a plane 6 hours later. The hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and bad coffee. My family was scattered across the plastic chairs, Mom with her head on Dad's shoulder, aunties clutching tissues, cousins staring at their phones with nothing to do but wait. And Sarah, standing by the window, still wearing the jade necklace. When she saw me, something flickered across her face. Relief, guilt, I couldn't tell. "Lily," Mom said, standing to hug me, "you came." Of course I came, I wanted to say. Did you think I wouldn't? But I just held her and said, "How is she?" "Stable. The doctors say the next 48 hours are critical." Mom pulled back, searching my face. She's been asking for you. For me. She keeps saying your name over and over. Where's Lily? I need Lily. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Sarah's been with her constantly, but she keeps asking for you. I looked at Sarah. She was staring out the window, her shoulders rigid. Can I see her? I asked. Only 2 visitors at a time. Sarah's been, maybe you two should go together. The walk to Grandma's room was silent. Sarah's heels clicked against the linoleum. The jade necklace swung slightly with each step. Grandma looked so small in the hospital bed, swallowed by white sheets and beeping machines. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. An IV dripped steadily into her arm. I pulled a chair close and took her hand. It was cool, papery thin. Grandma, it's me, it's Lily. Her eyes fluttered open. For a moment they were unfocused, searching. Then they found mine and something cleared. Lily, she whispered. Her voice was weak but certain. My Lily. I'm here, Grandma. I'm right here. I knew you'd come. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. I told them. I said Lily will come. Tears burned my eyes. Of course I came. I'll always come when you need me. Her gaze drifted past me to where Sarah stood at the foot of the bed. Sarah has been very good to me, she said slowly in Mandarin. Very dutiful, very kind. I know, Grandma. But she's not you. Grandma's eyes held mine. I gave her your necklace because she looked so sad, so hungry for something that was hers. I thought maybe it would help her feel seen. But wearing something doesn't make you someone else. I've known that my whole life. I glanced at Sarah. She was staring at the floor, her face pale. Sarah is finding her own way, I said carefully. That's good, isn't it? Yes, but not by taking yours. Grandma coughed, a wet, rattling sound that made my heart clench. When she caught her breath, she continued. You think I don't know why you stopped coming, why you pulled away? Grandma, I had work. You felt replaced, erased. She squeezed my hand again. I'm 93 years old, Lily. I've watched families tear themselves apart over less. 2 sisters competing for the same space, the same love. It never ends well. We're not competing, I said, but the words felt hollow. Aren't you? Grandma's gaze was sharp despite her weakness. Sarah, come here. Sarah approached slowly, reluctantly. She stood on the opposite side of the bed. Take off the necklace, Grandma said. What? The necklace. Take it off and give it back to Lily. But you gave it to me. I gave it to you to make you feel valued, but it's made you into someone you're not, and it's taken something from your sister that was never mine to give away. Grandma's voice was firm. Take it off. Sarah's hands trembled as she reached behind her neck. The clasp came undone, and she held the necklace in her palm, the jade catching the fluorescent light. She looked at it for a long moment, then extended it toward me. I didn't take it immediately. Grandma, if you want Sarah to have it. I want both my granddaughters to know their own worth, Grandma interrupted, without needing to steal it from each other. Sarah placed the necklace in my hand. The jade was warm from her skin. She stepped back, and I saw tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. Lily, I'm so sorry. Sarah. No, let me say this. She wiped her eyes roughly. You were right. I took your place, and I told myself I was just filling a gap, just helping out, but the truth is, it felt good to finally be the important one, the one everyone needed, the one Grandma loved. Grandma loves both of us, I said. I know, but it didn't feel that way growing up. You were always the special one, the golden granddaughter. And when you left that space empty, I saw my chance and I took it. I took everything, your role, your stories, your necklace. I even took credit for memories that were yours. Her voice cracked. I became you because I didn't think being me was enough. The anger I'd been carrying for months suddenly felt less solid, less certain. You didn't have to become me, I said quietly. You just had to show up as yourself. I know that now. Sarah looked at Grandma, then back at me. But I was so angry at you for leaving, for having the courage to choose yourself when I never could. So I punished you by taking what you left behind. Grandma made a soft sound. Both of you, listen to me. A family is not a competition. There is not one seat at the table, one place in my heart. Lily, you chose your career, and that was right for you. Sarah, you chose to stay close to home, and that was right for you. Both choices have value. Both daughters have value. But the family needed someone, I said, and I wasn't there. The family will always need someone, Grandma replied. That's what families do, but it doesn't have to be the same person doing the same things. Sarah, you have gifts your sister doesn't have. You connect with people differently. You bring your own light. You don't need to carry Lily's torch. You have your own. Sarah nodded, tears still falling. And Lily, Grandma turned to me, you left because you were suffocating under the weight of everyone's expectations, including your own. That was brave. But you can't let hurt and pride keep you away forever. Your place in this family isn't dependent on being the one who does everything. You belong here simply because you're you. I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat. Now both of you, stop crying and help an old woman sit up. I want to look at my granddaughters properly. We both moved at once, adjusting pillows, raising the bed. Sarah and I reached for the same pillow and our hands touched. We paused, looked at each other. I really am sorry, she said again. I know, and I'm sorry too, for making you feel invisible, for leaving so completely that you felt you had to take my place just to matter. You didn't make me feel that way. I did that to myself. Sarah managed a watery smile. But I wouldn't mind sharing the space, if you're willing to come back. I'd like that, if you're willing to let me. Grandma watched us with satisfaction. Good, now I'm tired. You two go get some rest. And when you come back tomorrow, I want to hear about both your lives. Not one pretending to be the other, just my two granddaughters, each being exactly who they are. We stayed with her for another hour, talking quietly, holding her hands. Before we left, I fastened the jade necklace around my neck. It felt heavier than I remembered. Or maybe I was just more aware of its weight. In the hallway, Sarah and I stood awkwardly. I'm staying at the Marriott downtown, I said. Do you want to get breakfast tomorrow before visiting ours? I'd like that, Sarah hesitated. Can I ask you something? Will you teach me how to be part of this family without losing myself in it? I thought about all the years I'd spent defining myself by my role, by what I did for others, until I couldn't separate Lily the person from Lily the dutiful granddaughter. Only if you teach me how to leave space for someone else without disappearing completely. She smiled, real and genuine. Deal. We didn't hug. It felt too soon, too easy. But we walked to the elevator together, and for the first time in months, the silence between us wasn't heavy with resentment. Grandma recovered slowly. She came home after 2 weeks, weaker but stubborn as ever. Sarah and I developed a rhythm. She handled the day-to-day local care, and I flew home twice a month for long weekends. We texted frequently, updating each other, making sure nothing fell through the cracks. The family noticed. At first there was awkwardness, people not sure how to navigate the shift. But gradually, they adapted. Mom started calling us both with news. The aunties added me back into their active conversations in the group chat. Cousins stopped being surprised when I showed up at events. And Sarah stopped wearing the necklace. She got her own jewelry, a delicate gold bracelet from Auntie Me, a pearl ring from Mom. Things that were hers, given to her, meant for her. In April, she called me with news. I got a job offer, she said, her voice vibrating with excitement. At the Seattle Public Library, head of their Asian American literature collection. Sarah, that's incredible. Wait, Seattle. Yeah, I know it's your city, and if that's weird. It's not weird. When do you start? June, I'm terrified. I smiled. Good, that means it matters. Will you help me find an apartment? Of course, but Sarah. Yeah. This is your move. Your life. Don't do it because you think you need to follow me or prove something. I'm not. I'm doing it because I finally figured out that I can love our family and still choose myself. You taught me that. After we hung up, I took out the jade necklace from my jewelry box where I'd been keeping it. I held it up to the light, remembering Grandma's hands placing it around my neck all those years ago. Then I packaged it carefully and mailed it back to Grandma with a note. This belongs with you. When the time is right, you'll know who needs it next. Maybe neither of us. Maybe both of us. Maybe someone else entirely. But it shouldn't be a symbol of who matters most, because we all matter. Love, Lily. 3 weeks later, I received a small package. Inside was a pair of jade earrings, clearly made from the same stone as the necklace. There was a note in Grandma's shaky handwriting. One pair, 2 pieces, different but matched. This is what I should have given you from the start. The other pair is going to Sarah. You both shine brighter when you're not trying to be the same light. Love, Grandma. I put them on and looked at myself in the mirror. They suited me, not because they were part of some legacy I had to uphold, but because they were mine, truly mine. My phone buzzed. A photo from Sarah, her wearing her matching pair, making a silly face. Sister earrings, she texted. Does this mean we're officially a set? We always were, I typed back. We just forgot for a while. The family reunion was in August. I marked it on my calendar the day the invitation arrived. Sarah and I decided to fly home together from Seattle. On the plane, somewhere over the Rockies, Sarah turned to me. Are you nervous? A little, you. Yeah, it's weird, going back to the scene of the crime. I laughed. That's one way to put it. I mean, everyone's going to have opinions about what happened, about us. Let them, I said. We know the truth, that's what matters. When we walked into the reunion together, there was a moment of surprised silence. Then Auntie Me rushed forward with a cry of delight, pulling us both into a hug that smelled like tiger balm and love. Both my girls, together. This is what I've been praying for. The rest of the day unfolded like a song I'd forgotten I knew. Sarah organized games with the kids while I helped set up the food. I led the tea ceremony, and Sarah gave a toast. We sang together at karaoke, a duet, each of us taking our own part. At one point, I found myself standing next to Mom at the buffet table. This is nice, she said softly, having both my daughters here, each being themselves. I'm sorry I stayed away so long. I'm sorry we made you feel replaced. That was never our intention, but intention doesn't erase impact. Mom squeezed my arm. You and Sarah, you're teaching us all something, about making room for each other without someone having to disappear. Later, as the sun set and the little cousins ran around with sparklers, I sat with Grandma on the porch. She was stronger now, her eyes bright with the joy of having her family around her. You know what I've learned? I said, watching Sarah teach the kids a clapping game. I spent so long thinking my worth came from my role, from being the one who held everything together. And when Sarah took that role, I felt like I'd lost myself. And now I know that I'm enough just by being here, by showing up as myself, not as the person everyone needs me to be. I touched my jade earrings. Sarah needed to learn that too, that she didn't have to become me to matter. Grandma patted my hand. You both learned the same lesson from different directions. That's what sisters do, teach each other how to be whole. As the evening deepened and the family gathered for one more group photo, Sarah and I stood together, not competing for the center spot, not fighting for space beside Grandma, just standing side by side, two sisters who'd lost and found each other, who'd learned that love isn't a limited resource and family isn't a zero-sum game. The camera flashed. Someone made a joke. Everyone laughed. And for the first time in over a year, I felt completely, authentically myself. Not the keeper of traditions, not the responsible one, not the one who had to do everything or nothing. Just Lily, standing beside Sarah, both of us wearing our matching jade earrings, shining our own light, taking up our own space. Together, but not the same. And finally, beautifully, that was enough. Sarah moved to Seattle in June, just as the city was shaking off its gray winter coat and remembering how to be beautiful. I helped her move into a studio apartment in Capitol Hill, just 20 minutes from my place in Queen Anne. It's perfect, she said, standing in the empty space with boxes stacked around her. Small, but mine. Your first place alone, I said. How does it feel? She was quiet for a moment. Terrifying, exciting, like I'm finally catching up to where you were 10 years ago. Don't do that. Do what? Compare our timelines. You're not behind, Sarah. You're just on your own path. She nodded, but I could see the old insecurity flickering in her eyes. This was going to be a process for both of us. Over the next few weeks, I watched my sister navigate her new life with a mixture of determination and doubt. She threw herself into her job at the library, stayed late organizing the collection, volunteered for every project. It was familiar, the same overcompensating I'd done for years, trying to prove I was worth the space I took up. One evening in July, she showed up at my apartment at 9 p.m., still in her work clothes, looking exhausted. "I think I made a mistake," she said, collapsing on my couch. "What happened?" "I organized this whole event at the library, a celebration of Asian American authors. I invited everyone from the family who's in the area, planned every detail, made sure everything was perfect." She pressed her palms against her eyes. "And only 3 people came. 3 out of 20 who RSVP'd yes." I sat down beside her. "Let me guess, you didn't follow up with anyone, didn't send reminders." "I thought if they said yes, they'd come, like family events back home." "Sarah, this isn't home. People here are busy, they forget. It doesn't mean they don't care." "But I worked so hard." Her voice cracked. "I wanted to show everyone that I could do something important here too, that I wasn't just tagging along to your city." There it was, the real fear underneath. "Is that what you think, that you're tagging along?" "Aren't I? You built a whole life here. Important job, beautiful apartment, colleagues who respect you. And I'm just the little sister who followed you." I thought about how to respond. A year ago, I might have gotten defensive, worried that she was trying to take over my Seattle life the way she'd taken over my family role. But I was learning to hear what she was actually saying beneath the words. "You know what I see," I said finally. "I see someone who had the courage to leave everything comfortable and familiar to build something of her own. That's not following, Sarah. That's bravery." "It doesn't feel brave. It feels lonely." "Yeah, it does." I pulled a blanket over both of us. "Being yourself, choosing yourself, it's lonely sometimes. That's the part they don't tell you, but you know what? You don't have to do it alone. Not here, not with me." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I'm scared I don't know who I am without the family watching." "Then we'll figure it out together. Who Sarah is when she's just Sarah, not anyone's sister or granddaughter or replacement." We sat there for a long time, and I realized this was what Grandma had meant. We were teaching each other. I was learning how to let someone in without losing myself. She was learning how to stand alone without disappearing. In August, something shifted at work. My boss called me into her office with an expression I couldn't read. "Lily, I'm going to be direct. You've been different since you came back from that conference in Geneva, more distracted, less engaged. Your work is still excellent, but your heart doesn't seem in it anymore." My stomach dropped. Let me finish. I'm not reprimanding you, I'm asking. What do you need?" The question caught me off guard. What did I need? I started slowly. "I think I've been using work the way I used to use family, as a way to prove my worth. And when I lost my place in the family, I tried to make work fill that void. But it can't, and it shouldn't have to." My boss leaned back in her chair. "That's remarkably self-aware, so what now?" "I need balance. Real balance, not just the word I put on my vision board. I need to be able to go home for family events without feeling guilty. I need to be able to leave at 5 sometimes. I need to be good at my job without it being my entire identity." "Can you do that and still be effective in your role?" "I think I can be more effective, because I won't be running on obligation and fear anymore. I'll be running on purpose." She studied me for a long moment. "Okay, let's try it. But Lily, don't disappear on me the way you disappeared on your family. If you need something, speak up." It was the same conversation I'd needed to have with Mom, with Grandma, with everyone. Don't disappear. Don't pretend you're fine when you're drowning. Don't wait until you break to ask for help. That night, I called Mom for the first time in weeks. Really called her, not just responded to group texts. "Lily, is everything okay? Yeah, Mom, I just wanted to talk. How are you? There was a pause, and I could hear the surprise in her voice. I'm... I'm good, sweetheart. Your father and I are planning a trip to see you and Sarah next month. Would that be all right? That would be perfect. And I meant it. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Did you feel like you lost me? When I moved away, when I started missing events? She was quiet for a moment. Yes, I felt like you were choosing a different life, and there wasn't room for us in it. And maybe I pulled away because it hurt less than reaching out and feeling you slip further away. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I know, baby, and I'm sorry too, for letting Sarah step into your role so completely, for not protecting your place in the family, for making you feel replaceable. We both cried a little. It was overdue. We're learning, I said finally. All of us, how to be a family across distance, how to make room for everyone's choices. Yes, and it's hard. But you and Sarah, watching you two find your way back to each other, it gives me hope. After we hung up, I felt lighter. Not healed exactly, but healing. September brought the Mid-Autumn Festival, and Sarah insisted on hosting a celebration at her apartment. She invited the local cousins, some of her new colleagues from the library, and a few of my work friends. Are you sure about mixing everyone? I asked as we prepared mooncakes in her tiny kitchen. Why not? This is my life now. All these people, all these pieces. I don't want to keep them separate like I'm living different lives for different audiences. I looked at her, my little sister who was becoming someone I didn't fully recognize but was learning to know, and felt proud. The party was chaotic and wonderful. Cousin Jennifer flew up from California and got tipsy on plum wine, telling embarrassing stories about both of us. Sarah's library colleagues debated the best Chinese American novels, while my work friends argued about tech industry ethics. Everyone ate too many mooncakes and stayed too late. At one point, I found Sarah on her small balcony, looking out at the city lights. You did good, I said, joining her. Yeah, this felt real. Like actually you, not you trying to be anyone else. She smiled. I'm starting to figure out who that is. Turns out she's kind of a mix, part family traditions, part new adventures, part total mess. Sounds human. Lily, can I tell you something? I'm glad we went through what we went through. I mean, it sucked. It really sucked. But I don't think I would have had the courage to move here, to try something new, if I hadn't hit that wall with you. If I hadn't realized I was living a borrowed life. I'm glad too, in a weird way. It made me face some things I'd been avoiding. Like what? Like the fact that I was running away, not toward something. Like the fact that I'd been defining myself by my role instead of by who I actually am. I paused. I'm still figuring out who that is too. Maybe we can figure it out together. Two messes trying to be people. I like that, the Mess Sisters. She laughed, and it was lighter than I'd heard from her in years. Grandma would hate that name. Grandma would love that we're finally being honest. In October, Grandma had another health scare, minor this time, but enough to remind us all how fragile everything was. Sarah and I flew home together, a pattern we were establishing. We'd split the responsibilities. She handled the day-to-day coordination with doctors and caregivers. I managed the family communication and logistics. Sitting beside Grandma's bed. At home this time, she'd refused to go back to the hospital. I held her hand while Sarah read to her in Mandarin from a book of old stories. You two have made me very happy, Grandma said during a pause. Not because you've figured everything out, but because you're trying, because you're honest about the mess. You heard us call ourselves the Mess Sisters, Sarah asked. I hear everything, Grandma's eyes twinkled, and I like it, better to be an honest mess than a perfect lie. Grandma, I need to tell you something, I said. I've been thinking about moving back, not permanently, but maybe splitting my time, working remotely part of the time, being here more. Grandma's grip on my hand tightened. Is this what you want, or what you think you should want? I think it's both, and I'm learning that's okay. I can want my career and my family. I can choose myself and choose to be here. It doesn't have to be one or the other. What about your job? I talked to my boss. We're working out a hybrid arrangement. 2 weeks in Seattle, 2 weeks here. It's not perfect, but it's real. Sarah looked up from the book. You didn't tell me you were considering this. I wasn't sure it would work out, but it did. And I wanted to make the decision on my own first, not because anyone expected it or needed it. That's growth, Grandma said approvingly. Coming back because you choose to, not because you're obligated. Sarah, what about you? Will you stay in Seattle? Yes, Sarah said firmly. I love it there. I love my job, my apartment, my new life. But I'll come home more too. We both will, just on our own terms. Good. A family should be flexible enough to hold everyone's choices. Rigid families break. Flexible families bend and strengthen. That night, Sarah and I stayed up late in our childhood bedroom, the one we'd shared until I left for college. The twin beds were still there, covered in the same quilts Mom had made 20 years ago. Do you remember fighting over this room? Sarah asked from her bed. Every single night. You'd steal my stuffed animals. I'd steal your diary. You read my diary. Only once. You caught me and hit me with it. She laughed. I forgot about that. God, we were so petty. We were kids. Everything felt life or death. It still does sometimes, doesn't it? Like if I make one wrong move, everything will fall apart. Yeah, but I'm learning that falling apart isn't the end. Sometimes it's just rearranging, finding a new shape that fits better. We were quiet for a while, listening to the house settle around us, the same sounds we'd fallen asleep to our entire childhoods. Lily. Yeah. Thank you for not hating me, for what I did. Thank you for not hating me for leaving. I did hate you, for a while. I know, I hated you too. But we got past it. We're getting past it, present tense. It's not finished yet. No, she agreed, but we're trying, that's something. In November, Sarah met someone. His name was David, a professor at the University of Washington, and when she introduced us at a coffee shop, I could see it in her eyes, that new relationship glow that made everything feel possible. Don't interrogate him, she whispered to me before he arrived. I would never. You're doing it right now. You have your interrogation face on. I tried to relax my face. This is just my normal face. It's really not. David turned out to be kind, funny, and completely smitten with my sister. He asked questions about her work, listened when she talked, and didn't seem to mind that she still called Grandma every single day. After he left, Sarah turned to me with nervous excitement. So, he's great, really great. You mean it? I do. He looks at you like you hung the moon. She blushed. It's still early. I don't want to jinx it. Then don't. Just enjoy it. Let yourself be happy without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Is that what you do? I'm trying to learn. It's harder than it sounds. We walked along the waterfront, wrapped in scarves against the November wind. Seattle was gray and drizzly, exactly as it should be, and I felt grateful for the cold, for the coffee warming my hands, for my sister beside me building her own life. Can I ask you something? Sarah said. Are you happy, like really happy? I thought about it. I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I've been in a long time. I'm learning what I need, how to ask for it, how to take up space without apologizing. That feels like progress. What do you need? Connection without obligation, purpose without perfection, to be part of something without losing myself in it. I glanced at her. What about you? I need to know I'm enough, just as Sarah, not as anyone's version of what I should be, and I'm getting there, slowly. We're both getting there. Yeah, together but separate. The Mess sisters strike again. She bumped my shoulder with hers, and we kept walking, two women who'd lost and found each other, still learning, still growing, still figuring out how to be family in a way that held space for both of them. December came faster than expected. The family group chat exploded with plans for Christmas. Everyone wanted both Sarah and me there, and for once, it didn't feel like a burden. It felt like belonging. Sarah and I coordinated our flights. packed matching jade earrings, and boarded the plane home together on Christmas Eve. "Nervous?" she asked as we took our seats. "A little, you." "Same. It's weird, going home when we're both different than we were." "Maybe that's good. Maybe they need to see who we actually are now." The reunion was everything I'd hoped for and nothing like I'd feared. Mom cried when she saw us. Dad crushed us both in a hug that lasted too long. Grandma, stronger now but still frail, touched our matching earrings and smiled with satisfaction. "There are my granddaughters," she said. "Finally both here, both whole." The days blurred together in the best way. Cooking with Mom, arguing about recipes with the aunties, teaching the little cousins card games, staying up late with Sarah sorting through old photos and deciding which memories were whose. On Christmas night, after everyone else had gone to bed, I found myself alone with Grandma in the living room. The tree lights cast gentle shadows across her face. "You've changed," she observed. "Both of you." "Is that good?" "Very good. You were so hard before, Lily. Like you were holding yourself together with pure will. Now you're softer, more real." I was terrified of breaking. "And then you did break, and discovered you could put yourself back together differently. With a lot of help." "That's the lesson, isn't it? That we don't have to do it alone. That asking for help isn't weakness." She reached for my hand. "I'm proud of you, both for leaving and for coming back. Both for building your own life and for staying connected to ours." "I'm trying to do both better." "You're succeeding. And Sarah, she's blooming in ways I never expected. You gave her the space to do that by stepping back, even though it hurt. It almost broke us. But it didn't. It bent you both into new shapes, and now you fit together differently. Better, I think." I rested my head on her shoulder like I used to as a child. "Grandma, are you going to be okay?" "Eventually, no. I'm 93, darling. But right now I'm better than okay. I got to see both my granddaughters find themselves. That's worth more than extra years." We sat there in comfortable silence, watching the tree lights blink on and off, and I felt a peace I'd been chasing for years finally settle into my bones. The next morning, Sarah found me in the kitchen making coffee. "I was thinking," she said, "next year, what if we host Thanksgiving in Seattle? Bring the family to us instead of always going to them." "That's a big undertaking." "We could do it together, split the responsibilities, show them what our lives look like there." I poured her a cup of coffee. "Are you sure you're ready for that, having everyone in your space?" "I think so. I think I'm finally ready to show them who I am, not who I was or who I thought I should be." She took a sip and made a face. "God, your coffee is still terrible." "You're just spoiled by all those fancy Seattle coffee shops." "True, but seriously about Thanksgiving." "Let's do it," I said. "But we're hiring a caterer. I'm not cooking for 40 people." "Deal." We clinked our coffee mugs together, and in that simple gesture was everything we'd learned. Compromise, collaboration, respect for each other's limits and strengths. Later that day, as we prepared to fly back to Seattle, Mom pulled me aside. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up. On the family, on yourself, on Sarah. It would have been easier to just stay angry, to stay away." "It wasn't easy coming back." "I know, but you did it anyway. And look what happened, you got your sister back. And we got both our daughters back, finally seeing them clearly." I hugged her tight. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, sweetheart, both of you, exactly as you are." On the plane back to Seattle, somewhere over Nevada, Sarah turned to me. "Hey, Lily." "Yeah." "I'm glad it's not just one of us anymore. I'm glad we can both be here, both take up space, both matter." "Me too." "And I'm glad I don't have to be you. Being me is hard enough." I laughed. Being me is hard enough too. "But we're figuring it out." "Yeah, we are." She put in her headphones and fell asleep against the window, and I looked at her, my sister, my mirror, my opposite, my family, and felt grateful for the breaking that had led us here. For the pain that had taught us to reshape ourselves and our relationship into something more honest, more sustainable, more real. I touched the jade earring in my ear, thought about the matching one Sarah wore, and smiled. 2 pieces, 1 pair, different but matched. Finally, we were learning how to shine our own light without dimming each other's. And that, I was learning, was the real meaning of family, not taking turns in the spotlight, but learning to stand in it together, each of us casting our own unique glow. The plane descended into Seattle as the sun set, painting the city in shades of gold and pink. Sarah woke up, looked out the window, and smiled. "Home," she said. And this time, I knew she meant it. Not because she was following me, not because she was filling someone else's space, but because she'd chosen it for herself. We both had. And that made all the difference.